The Argonauts had won the Golden Fleece, a prize that had cost them dearly in courage, cunning, and sacrifice. Their hearts were filled with hope, but also with a deep exhaustion from the trials they had faced. Yet, as the wind filled their sails, it was clear their adventure was far from over. The journey home would test them in ways they could not yet imagine. With Medea, the powerful and mysterious daughter of King Aeetes, they set sail for Greece aboard the Argo, her presence both a blessing and a source of tension among the crew. Behind them, King Aeetes, furious at losing both the fleece and his beloved daughter, wasted no time. He sent his warships in pursuit, led by his own son, the relentless Apsyrtos. Knowing they could not win a battle at sea, the Argonauts searched desperately for a secret route home. Guided by whispers of ancient rivers, they turned into the winding, shadowy waters of the Ister. But the river split unexpectedly and Apsyrtos's fleet was waiting. The Argonauts found themselves trapped, their escape blocked by enemy ships on every side. Outnumbered and desperate, the crew faced a grim ultimatum. A tense negotiation began. Jason could keep the fleece, but only if Medea was returned to her father. Medea, terrified of her father's wrath and the fate that awaited her, pleaded with Jason not to abandon her. Her voice trembled with fear and desperation. She reminded him of her unwavering loyalty, of the risks she had taken and the betrayals she had committed for his sake. Medea spoke of the powerful magic she had used to help Jason win the fleece, and how her knowledge of the arcane could still save them from danger. Jason was torn between his promise to Medea and his duty to his crew. The weight of leadership pressed heavily on his shoulders as he gazed into the dark waters. That night, the Argonauts gathered in hushed circles, debating their impossible choice. Every man knew that one wrong move could doom them all. The river was shrouded in thick fog and danger seemed to lurk in every shadow. Their journey home had become more perilous than any of them had foreseen. The river was a dead end, blocked by enemy ships and dense, impenetrable forests. The Argonauts were cornered, with no clear path to safety. In the darkness, Jason and Medea whispered urgently, searching for a desperate plan that might save them all from capture or worse. The fate of the Argonauts now hung by a thread. Every man and woman aboard the Argo felt the weight of uncertainty pressing in. As dawn broke, the Argo slipped quietly through the mist, the long road home stretching endlessly before them. Their greatest challenges still lay ahead. The heroes braced themselves for what was to come, knowing that only courage, unity, and perhaps a touch of magic could see them through the trials awaiting on the river ahead. Jason and Medea, desperate to escape, devised a grim plan. They knew that their only chance of survival lay in a desperate act of betrayal. The stakes were high and the consequences unimaginable, but they felt cornered, with no other options. Medea lured her brother Apsyrtos to a temple, pretending she wanted to return home. She played her part convincingly, masking her true intentions with a facade of sincerity and longing. Trusting his sister, Apsyrtos arrived alone, only to be ambushed by Jason. The temple, a place of worship and peace, became the stage for a heinous act. In a swift, brutal act, Jason killed Apsyrtos, betrayal and bloodshed on sacred ground. The air was thick with tension and the echoes of violence reverberated through the night. Medea watched, horrified by what they had done. The weight of their actions began to sink in, and the reality of their crime was undeniable. The gods saw everything. Zeus's anger was swift. The skies darkened and the heavens roared with disapproval. The wind died, storms battered the Argo, and the ship itself spoke. They were cursed. The once calm seas turned treacherous, reflecting the turmoil in their hearts. The Argonauts could not return home until they were cleansed of this crime. Their journey, once filled with hope, was now overshadowed by a dark cloud of guilt. Only the witch Circe could purify them. She was their last hope, a beacon in their darkest hour. Guilt and fear weighed heavily on Jason and Medea as they turned the Argo toward Circe's island. Each wave that hit the ship seemed to echo their inner turmoil. The cost of their escape was now clear. The gods demanded justice. The rituals and offerings were a stark reminder of the divine retribution they faced. The journey home would be haunted by their terrible deed. Every shadow seemed to whisper of their crime, and every gust of wind carried a hint of their guilt. The Argonauts sailed on, burdened by blood and fate. Their once proud mission was now a desperate quest for redemption. Their next trial awaited on the island of a powerful witch. Would forgiveness be possible? The answer lay ahead, shrouded in mist and uncertainty. The Argonauts, cursed and desperate, reached the island of Aeaea, home of Circe, Medea's aunt. Jason and Medea approached Circe's palace in shame, seeking purification. Medea confessed their crime. Circe listened, horrified but bound by family. She agreed to perform the ritual, sacrificing a pig and praying to the gods. Circe washed their hands, symbolically cleansing their guilt. The ritual calmed Zeus's anger, but Circe warned them, their crime would not be forgotten. She refused them shelter, urging them to leave at once. The Argonauts returned to the Argo, cleansed but still marked by fate. Their journey would only grow more perilous. The gods had been appeased, but the world remained dangerous. The heroes sailed on, uncertain of what awaited. Circe's warning echoed in their minds. The path home was still long and treacherous. The Argonauts pressed forward, hoping for redemption. The Argonauts faced the most dangerous strait in the world. On one side, the deadly whirlpool Charybdis, on the other, the monster Scylla. Hera, watching over them, sent the sea nymph Thetis and her sisters to guide the Argo. The nymphs swam alongside, steering the ship between the two threats. The roar of Charybdis and the howls of Scylla filled the air, but the Argo stayed its course. With divine help, the heroes passed safely through the strait. The Argonauts had survived a passage that had doomed countless others. They thanked the gods and their mystical guides. The sea's dangers were many, but courage and help from above saw them through. The journey pressed on. Next, the Argonauts neared the island of the Sirens, creatures whose song lured sailors to their doom. As the haunting music reached their ears, the crew began to fall under its spell. Orpheus, the greatest musician, acted quickly. He played his lyre, filling the air with music even more powerful than the Sirens' song. Orpheus's melody reminded the crew of home, love, and hope. The Argonauts snapped out of their trance and rowed away from the deadly rocks. Only Butes leapt into the sea, but Aphrodite saved him. Thanks to Orpheus, the Argo sailed safely past the Sirens. The crew was shaken but alive. The power of music had saved them from certain death. The dangers of the sea were relentless, but the Argonauts pressed on. Each trial brought them closer to home. The legend of their journey grew with every challenge. The Golden Fleece was within reach. Exhausted and battered by storms and endless days at sea, the Argonauts finally reached the fabled island of Scheria, a place whispered about in legends for its beauty and hospitality. Their feet touched the soft sand as the first rays of dawn painted the sky, and hope flickered in their hearts once more. They were welcomed with open arms by King Alcinous and Queen Arete, rulers renowned for their wisdom and kindness. The palace shone with golden light, and the weary heroes were offered food, shelter, and a moment of peace. But their peace was short-lived. Soon, Colchian pursuers landed on the island's shores, their faces grim and voices raised, demanding that Medea be returned to them at once. King Alcinous, wise and just, faced a difficult decision. He proclaimed that if Medea was still unmarried, she must be sent back to her homeland. But if she was already wed, she could remain safely with the Argonauts, protected by the laws of hospitality and marriage. That night Queen Arete, moved by Medea's plight, secretly summoned Jason and Medea. In hushed tones, she urged them to marry before dawn, offering her blessing and guidance in a hidden cave beneath the palace. In the magical glow of the cave, surrounded by gentle nymphs and the radiant golden fleece, Jason and Medea exchanged vows. Orpheus played his lyre, filling the chamber with hauntingly beautiful music. The ceremony was both urgent and enchanting, a union forged in secrecy but blessed by the gods. As the first light of dawn crept into the cave, their fates were sealed. At sunrise, King Alcinous announced his decision to the gathered crowds. Medea, now Jason's wife, would remain by his side. The Colchians, outwitted by wisdom rather than force, had no choice but to depart in defeat. The Argonauts rejoiced, feasting in the palace and raising their cups in gratitude to the king and queen, whose compassion had saved them all. The wedding not only secured Medea's freedom but also brought the heroes closer together, uniting them in purpose and friendship. Though their journey was far from over, hope had returned to their hearts. The promise of home felt real again. The bonds of love, loyalty, and shared struggle grew ever stronger among the Argonauts. With spirits renewed, the Argo set sail once more, its crew ready to face whatever final trials awaited them on the long road home. The dream of home, once distant, now burned brightly in their hearts as they journeyed onward. A violent storm hurled the Argo into a desert, stranding the crew far from the sea. The heroes despaired, their ship useless on the sand. 3 desert nymphs appeared, urging them not to give up. They must carry the Argo across the burning desert to reach water again. For 12 days and nights the Argonauts hauled their ship, exhausted and thirsty. Jason inspired them to keep going. Along the way they saw the magical horse Arion, a sign from the gods. At last they reached Lake Tritonis and the Mediterranean beyond. The Argonauts had achieved the impossible, carrying their ship across a desert. Their determination was unmatched. They rested by the lake, preparing for the final leg home. The sea called to them once more. The heroes had proven their strength and unity. The end of their journey was near. The legend of the Argo grew ever greater. Greece was almost in sight. Lost on Lake Tritonis, the Argonauts prayed for help. Triton, son of Poseidon, appeared and guided them to the sea in exchange for a bronze tripod. Their path led to Crete, where the bronze giant Talos blocked their way. Talos hurled boulders invulnerable to weapons. Medea used her magic, tricking Talos into scraping his ankle and dislodging the nail that kept him alive. The giant's life fluid drained away. Talos fell with a thunderous crash. The Argonauts were safe thanks to Medea's cunning. The heroes had overcome monsters and gods, not by strength alone but by wit and unity. The final stretch to Greece lay ahead. The Argo sailed on, battered but unbroken. Each victory brought them closer to home. The gods watched as the heroes neared their journey's end. The legend of the Argonauts was almost complete. Only one last trial remained. The shores of Greece beckoned. As Greece neared, a supernatural fog trapped the Argo in darkness. Lost and afraid, Jason prayed to Apollo for light. Apollo answered, sending a blazing arrow to reveal a safe island, Anaphe. The Argonauts landed, grateful for the god's guidance. From there, the seas calmed and the winds favored them. Soon, the familiar coastline of Greece appeared. The heroes sailed into Iolcos, greeted by cheering crowds. The Argonauts had returned, changed forever by their trials. Their story became legend, a tale of courage, teamwork, and ambition. The Golden Fleece became a symbol of impossible dreams. The word Argonaut now means adventurer, seeker of great quests. The journey of the Argo reminds us, with bravery, friendship, and a little magic, even the hardest journeys can be won. The epic voyage was over, but its legacy would last forever. The heroes of the Argo had truly earned their place in myth.